for this opportunity. Thank you so much. This is one of those little opportunities that I enjoy. I do apologise. I will ramble a bit, I do know that, but I'll try and run you guys through the whole process from why you collect your lids to what actually happens to it once they're done. So on my end, as Joe explained, I receive the lids. I receive all your lids, but I only receive number 4. Now, that reason is for a safety reason, and I'll explain this in further detail. But I take this lid and I granulate it and shred it up until I have this. This is what my gold is, and this is what I use. Once these lids are in a granulated form, my machines, now I have this one here, which is Betty, my sheet machine and my extrusion machine as well. But my machines will take this granulated plastic, heat it, squish it, and turn it into a brand new product. We've been able to do this now for a little bit over a year at full steam, with us growing into bigger and stronger products. But the reason why I did this and how it all kind of came to life is in 2020, on Easter Sunday, I was working at Federation University. I finished my Bachelor of Science Astrobiology, and I had a pretty good job working at the uni, helping students go further. I had a hobby and an understanding of liquid kids and what could happen with plastic and what we could do with it. I then had a heart attack on Easter Sunday, which then made me revalue my life and take another look at what I wanted to do and what I was passionate for. That's when I took this hobby of taking these lids, melting them down in a $20 Kmart sandwich press to see if I could make a sheet, and just to test the idea as a crazy scientist that I was, to a reality, to really actually try to make a difference and try and make a move. Now, today, we've moved up to 730 kilos of plastic, all from single-use lids. So that motivation and drive has made me continue on with this to a point now that we have a little micro recycling factory, a dream of mine, and that still I pinch myself daily. It was in the realization and of all of this and doing this that once you can get it to a point where you can take what so many people call waste, this single little lid, this lid that we use daily, this rubbish that we throw out and goes into landfill, and turn it back into something practical, say a comb or a pen or a clipboard. This then shows that this waste that so many are throwing away and that's devastating our planet, it isn't actually a waste, it's actually a resource. And once used correctly, we can get some pretty cool patterns and look. And these are our clipboards. This takes 111 lids to make. So next time you're donating your lids, cleaning your lids and going through the process, when you get to 111, you can understand that it'll be turned into a clipboard. This clipboard will last for 450 years, a lot longer than some of the schools that they're going to, some of the people that they use. So it's in that thought process that Zero is born, and then we have got to where we are now. We can do what we can do. It's been definitely a challenge, taking these lids, recycling them, trying to work out what products people need, what isn't just going to be thrown away and added back into the cycle, but something that can do both. In that, the struggle's been using this machine here and hanging off the bar daily to try and make the items. It's interesting to see what can come from this and how hard it is, but at the end, you get to a point where all of this is kind of just so normal and so easy to do that we should be able to replicate this everywhere and in different areas. Now, I'm going to sit a bit closer as I can now sit here because I'm unable to read if any of those questions were for me. Just yell out if they are. But so far, is there any questions or anything that you'd like to know? See here, where do we donate the lids at the moment? I just put them in the recycling bin. Is that all right? Unfortunately, this is a sad fact. Anything smaller than a credit card, when put into the yellow bin, will not be recycled. It will fall through the cracks of the recycling system, get put into a big, large bag and put into landfill, where this will sit away and just what actually really happens is once it goes into landfill, rain will come, hit the tip and plastic, Leachate, a chemical from the plastic, will be removed, going into the water table and into the system. And that chemical there is what devastates and damages most living organisms. So what you want to do is to try and give your lids to Lids for Kids or other organisations like that, so then they can go to organisations like us where we can use this again. And that's that one. Okay. Is there any other questions before I'll kind of go on another ramble? That's perfect. So a lot of people say, why? What can we do? Is there anything that can come from this? As a community, you'd be surprised how much power you have together, how much there is in numbers with the same like-minded people. Every single lid counts, from saving one to saving a ton. It is really on us as individuals to make sure that instead of throwing this little lid in a bin, it goes to the right area. Because then you'll meet people like me in these facilities who are very passionate about what we do, and to go that extra mile. One of the major things that I found in this is a lot of people say, why are you doing this? Things are impossible. Can you even make a good product? Isn't it just waste and the stigma that is on top of it? Now, we wanted to make a USB. So I'll get a little bit closer here. This is a USB, fully encased with 6 lids of recycled plastic. We were told that this was impossible. This could not be done. Now, as I mentioned, I had the Bachelor of Science and have always been, if someone says it's impossible, it normally means that it's impossible to them and not you. You just got to work a bit harder. And so that triggered in my brain. That made me realize that we could probably do something with it. This is a doable thing. It's just going to be very challenging. And so we set ourselves the challenge, we put through it. And now not only have we made an impossible product, but this is actually a little bit better than a normal USB, as it's completely waterproof. We've dropped this in boiling water, we've got this in normal water, and after 15 minutes, pulled it out, dried it, and plugged it in, and they still work. So to be able to create something that shouldn't have been made from waste as well, really shows that it's just the mindset and what we have to kind of push through in order to bring these ideas to life and to make a change, to make a real difference. The other thing, do you have a lot of donations? As for the lids, yes. So on average, we will get about half a ton of plastic from Lids for Kids Australia. That is of the major colours. And we have a video I just recently put up. It's on our socials with my cat on the roof. But we get all our plastic in bins. So they come in big wheelie bins. And that's how I do my currency, so to say. And in that, they'll donate us a bin, or we'll get the lids shredded up and then turned in and then store it in a bin that way. Moving the plastic into larger items will help us move more plastic and more lids. As at the moment, our largest one is our craft sheets. I do apologise. This is our craft sheets, which is 50 centimetres by 30 centimetres by 5 mil. Can be laser cut or CNC. A lot of people use these for Play-Doh mats, or my wife, who makes jewelry and does other arts and crafts, uses it as her craft mat. So if she's using a Stanley knife or anything like that, it just goes into this mat. It can't be used for food. The really big question is, hey, could that be a chopping board? In anything to do with plastic, you pretty much don't want it in your kitchen. So not as the zero hat, but as a scientist and as a dad, I wouldn't allow my kids to eat off anything plastic. There is a thing called phthalates, this chemical that can come out from the plastic. Once it goes into our system, it is in our body for life. If you're a male, it will mess up your testosterone, and if you're a female, it will mess up your estrogen. So there's a lot of factors there to try and keep it away from food, and to try and make sure that that's not the case. As long as we're not putting it in our mouths, then normally everything from that is exactly safe and sound and can be used in any other operation. So it's just trying to stay away from food from what comes. But we've had a lot of people take this craft sheet and turn it into flat packs, which has been so cool to see. So they'll cut it up, plug it all together and have a little chair or a little box or something like that. So that's also one of the amazing things. But these products, these ideas of making things that shouldn't exist or or to re-envision, reinvent the wheel in a different way. It's like our pen. This is a pen made completely from recycled plastic. Now, again, something that's really cool and we can use. I was making a pair of pens for a lady. She wanted 2 of them, and one of the pens failed on her and didn't work. She asked, "What can I do with your item? I know this is a recycled item. I know that there's something we can do with it, but can this be recycled?" And I said, "Yes, I apologize. I'm so sorry. We're still learning as a business." And I'm like, "Send it back and we'll drop it off and we'll take that plastic and I'll resend everything out." She said, "Yeah, thank you." And she dropped it off and we apologized. And then the next day we went over and I took this pen that she gave me and I put it into Betty, remelted it to make new earrings for her as a sorry and as a thank you. And when she understood and I showed her the video of us turning her pen back into something else to then say sorry and give it back, she was blown away. As the reality of it all is things can be recycled. The same thing can be recycled about 7 times before we lose any real kind of degradation from the plastic. The polymers and monomers that hold it all together can break apart, but if we add more stuff, more recycled plastic, that will fix the problem. But as long as we keep the same polymers, and this is why it's very crucial when donating lids to polymer sort. So you can't have in the polymer sort, I do apologize again, but the polymer sort, in your little lids, you'll have a triangle. In that, you'll have your numbers. The best numbers to collect are 1, 2, 4, and 5. As I said, we only use number 4, but keeping it in those numbers will keep the polymers the same. The second that they are mixed, that is now a number 7, and number 7 plastic can't be recycled. There's a big greenwash problem that's in this world at the moment, which is really sad now, especially understanding on our side of how it all works. But a lot of the larger companies, you'll see them in like Woolworths, in the big benches and stuff like that, and the park benches and things on that magnitude, and the billards that are made from recycled plastic, they are unfortunately made from mixed plastic. So they'll take your 2s and your 4s, and they'll mix them together. Once they are mixed, that is now a 7 and unable to be recycled. So there is an issue in that. If we kept it in the same polymer, like we do with our products and our pens and stuff like that, if anything happens, you can send it back around. We'll recycle it into either another product or the same product or to fix it again. Is there any other further questions on anything there that I mentioned? All right, perfect. So I will move on to my favorite step. Now, this is where and how it's all made. Okay, so we've got your lids and we've shredded them up. They've now been turned into a granulated form, and I've poured it into my machine back there. Look at it here, the big lever. So you can see that lever there. I will hang off that and squish it down manually to a mold. Now a mold pretty much just sits underneath that machine that I'm squishing with that hot, gooey, hot Play-Doh plastic, and it'll go into this hole. Once it goes into this hole, it will hit this, and you'll kind of see it will hit that and go into here and then go all the way around. Now what that will create suspense. I should have done this earlier. What this will create is a carabiner. So this will then come out of here, and I will have a working carabiner, all made from recycled plastic. So depending on the shape, depending on what we put underneath that machine, is the item that we can make. As I said, we can make from the pens, we can make the USBs. It all just depends. It's on whatever shape. Now, I say it a few times, and I do kind of say this when we're doing our education platforms, and I explain to the kids the best way is once you get this plastic to a hot Play-Doh, to pretty much like just untouchable Play-Doh resin or a sticky honey, at that level, you can just squish it into any shape. And once it cools, that will stay in that shape. You then move this and reform this waste into a practical product, all by just using heat and pressure. Now, the ideas are absolutely endless, and as a crazy scientist, you can kind of see behind me here, this is a large wall of all different molds, all different shapes, everything that we've kind of tested of all our products. I highly recommend checking out our shop and going on there and just seeing what we have created and what we have done. But it is endless. If you can think of a 2D shape, if you can think of a practical item, even it can be 3D, can be intricate, it just costs more, but on an easier, very simple and can start tomorrow idea, if you can think of something that is 2D in shape, that you can draw within a 15 centimeter circle, that can be created out of recycled plastic. That not only can move and recycle plastic and get it out of our landfills and oceans and waterways, but can actually create revenue and can keep the lights on. I've got two young boys. I've got a 4-year-old and a 1-year-old, and keeps them fed, which is good. That's apparently a goal, so that's nice. But going the way that they're eating, especially my 4-year-old, I'm going to have to make sure that this business is successful because he's going to eat me out of house and home. But with it all, in the creations of ideas, in making these things, it really is just what you can think of. There is no limitation to it. It is just, if it is already made of plastic as well, this is the element, if it is already made of plastic, not regarding food items, it's trying to stay away from anything to do with food. But if it is already made from plastic, be it the plug for your power socket, be it the light mounting for your lights, be it Christmas decorations, all of these can be made from recycled plastic. How are you funded and what are your plans for the future? Well, the truth is this. I mean, we're funded just by, so once I was working at Fed Uni, had the full-time job. It was a really, really good job. But I was working with 3 screens and it was fake lights. That's not me. I used to say to my wife, I felt like a kind of caged animal from doing it because I was so limited. I then, once I had my heart attack, I then quit full time and used all of our savings. And you can imagine my wife, who was pregnant with our second, thinking, "What are you doing?" But she, being the best wife ever, backed up 100%. She's like, "I know this seems crazy, but you will get this done." So we funded it all ourselves, and then we funded by people buying our items. The sad and the reality of it all is it's not really a recycled plastic product until someone buys it. Until then, it is just a reformed item sitting in the shed. Or worse, if we can't get rid of our reformed items, then these lids still sit in other sheds and storage sheds and just sit there until they're either someone else's problem or too large to deal with. I don't like walking into a room with a problem without a solution. So that's why hey, this is what we're doing, and we can take these lids and turn them into other things. We just need the general public to be understanding that, hey, look, if you do want to buy something, if you want to treat yourself with something, if you do need to buy something that's kind of practical, if you do need to kind of support something, we are all humans, we do need stuff to survive and to be organized and everything there, then just choose recycled plastic, is what the message is from that. What are our plans for the future? So this is a really exciting one. As you see, I actually started with, this is my first ever sheet. Now you can see it's bumpy, it's twisted, it's like, it is horrible. This is actually carcinogenic, which means that when I was cooking it, it did release fumes that will cause cancer. I had no know-how, I had no idea what I was doing. I was honestly crazy scientist with a $20 Kmart sandwich press, just squishing plastic to see if the idea was working from what I learned in my chemistry when I was studying. I was like, hang on a second, this should just be able to do this. Now knowing how dangerous this was, and I've upgraded my safety gear 1,000-fold, it is definitely good. But it is still the idea of the sheet. What my plans are for the future is to have the largest sheet machine in the Southern Hemisphere. We want to make a sheet which will be 300 centimeters by 150 centimeters by up to 50 centimeters. This will be used to make homes. There's a company in Norway that have an interconnecting slot together little home for homeless people that they want to make from recycled plastic. So this is one of those kind of things that I've always been passionate about and wanted to do. But in having the largest sheet machine and being able to make sheets of that magnitude, we'll be able to make 100-kilo sheets every 40 minutes. And that's how we can really move a lot of plastic. So I'm pretty excited about that, pretty keen to see how that all goes. With the shop as well today, guys, there is a discount if you do want to buy anything. In the coupon code, you can just use Zoom. I'll just write that down. And you will get a discount of 10% if there's anything there. Now, it's very strange and kind of productive as a businessman, but then, as I mentioned, I always come at this as a scientist and as a dad. Um, if you don't have to buy it, don't buy it. Like, it's just like, do you need it kind of thing. It's one of those things that think about it. Is this practical? Is this a necessary buy? Like, I love the splurge. I used to love the splurge, and I used to love that idea of it all. But it's now just trying to understand this will be a really good sustainable gift for someone that will last a long time. This is the prove what can be done. One of our best sellers and one of the best ways to convince other people to why to recycle is what my wife made. Now, let's grab them. So, as mentioning, using our craft sheet is our biggest item at the moment, which is about 800 grams or 750 grams of plastic. So, about anywhere between 720 to 800 lids in that craft sheet. And they're good, they're for a good way of moving it. But as for the eco warriors, the people that are out there talking about it and saying and arguing that, hey, you should use recycled plastic to show the beauty, are my wife's earrings that she made. So that's 4 bottle caps in these little dangles, 6 bottle caps in these dangles, and again, all made from recycled plastic. And she made these little feather earrings as well, little feathers. But we have found that the people that are buying them are the conversation starters. We'll wear them with pride, like an understanding in society to say, look, this is beautiful. This is something that we can have and wear right now. Once we have done that as well, once they have gone, the feedback that we get from them and as like the Chinese whispers is pretty amazing. You hear that, like, wow, where did you get these from? This is beautiful. And then when they tell them that it's 4 bottle caps, it's that ripple effect of that person then thinks that when they're at home and looking at a bottle cap, like, wait, what? How could this be something? It is a really cool awakening moment when we go into schools and the schools get a chance. So the kids will go through, they will have their lids, we'll sort them into polymers. Once they're all sorted and done, what will happen there is we'll shred them, and normally we'll shred them or it's pre-shredded just for safety reasons. The kids will then put their plastic into Betty and they will hang off the lever. Some of the kids, especially the younger kids, will physically be hanging, legs in the air, dangling as they're making their items. And the smile that comes across their face and the understanding when they open it up and they create an item in their own eyes is just, that has been such a pat on the back and has reminded me why I quit my job and why I've done this 100% and why I've gone down it. Because when that spark happens, when that blinders come off, is what I call it, these kids just go. And I have a beautiful story of these 2 kids. So I was doing an education platform, and we do this through our charity called Soul, Southern Ocean Environmental Link. But I was doing an education session. We had all the kids there, and at the start of the class, the teacher came over to me and she said, "Look, we've got 2 kids that are VCAL students. They're in year 11. They're probably going to be very disengaged. They'll probably be on their phones and stuff. Just deal with it. It's okay. Like that's just them." Said fair enough, but I'll try my best. And as you can tell, I like to talk, so it kind of just keeps happening. And after a while, I got these 2 kids to get engaged. I'm like, look, just come up, just make some stuff. Like, let's see what happens. They made their own USB, they made a pen, and they made a carabiner. And as they were making the carabiners, and they didn't want to be there. The teacher even said that they most likely won't stay to the end of class, and they never have. Like, okay. And so we're nearing the end of the class. And they said to me as they're making the carabiner, could we make anything? I'm like, yeah. They're like, could we make golf tees? And I said, yeah, 100%. And in one of those pushes, you could probably make 10 golf tees, recycled plastic golf tees. And I seen the spark happen, and I seen them look at each other. And they said, wait a second, our fathers and all of our fathers are in this golf club, and that's our business. That's what we want to do. That's our main goal. We want to sell these golf tees. So you're telling me that we can collect lids, make golf tees, and then sell them to our dads? Like, yeah. And that was it. Not only did they stay back after class asking questions, they took notes. And then after we packed up and left, and even the teacher left, one of them came back and said to me, sorry, mate, sorry to bug you again, with his notepad out. And he goes to me, does that mean that we could collect the golf tees if they don't collect them, if they're lazy and they just leave them out in the grass? We could collect them and just like put them back in the machine and squish in and make a new golf tee and sell it back to them? I'm like, yeah, 100%. And the entrepreneurial businessman of this kid took off. About a month later, I got an email from the teacher saying, these two kids have excelled in their business class, have gone nuts, have gone through the ideas and have been so motivated and just so excited with it all that they've never seen a change. And it's just because you've given someone the platform to bring their idea to life. So hopefully we can do that more. And I love being that middleman of going into a place and saying to somebody, hey, look, if you want to bring an idea to life and you don't want to use virgin plastic and you don't want to add to the problem, let's try and do both. There is money to be made in this, which is, it is how the world kind of goes. But the better thing out of it is if you can make a movable, recyclable plastic product, we can really do good. We can move a lot of this lid out of landfill, out of oceans, and out of it all. And it's such a terrifying, especially with young kids. It's such sad kind of news that they constantly hear in school. Like I use that turtle for Zero Plastic Australia, as I was lucky enough for my wife and I on our 9th anniversary. We were up in Magnetic Island and we were swimming. And as we were swimming around and we were in these kayaks as well, the tour guide says, watch out for turtles, and these beautiful turtles were popping up. And I was just getting into this. I was just making that black sheep that I showed you before. And I said to him, do you find much plastic in turtles? And he said, unfortunately, yes. And a week before we went up there, they found 62 kilos of plastic in one turtle. He is a vet who tried to get it. And luckily enough, they got it all out of the turtle and he survived, which is like mind blowing. But as he said that, one of these turtles popped their head up right beside me. And when you look at a dog or a cat, and you know that there's ears going on behind their head, like you can't really talk to your dog, but you can have a conversation with them, and there's something there, they're sentient enough to be alive. They share this world with us. It's not just our planet. And all that happened. This turtle popped up. I looked at him. He looked at me. And then that's when I realized that somebody has to be the garbage man for these guys. Someone has to kind of make that little bit of a change. And that also kind of helped me continue on, because the sad reality is it only takes 4 bottle caps to kill a turtle. And what happens is the buoyancy of the turtle gets a little bit muddled because of the plastic inside. They're unable to go underwater and they get pecked and attacked by birds on top. So when you buy like a pair of earrings that has 4 bottle caps in it, it's that change. You think to yourself, okay, it's one less turtle. And that's how I kind of do it, or helps me get through the day. Now, again, is there any further questions or anything else there on that little random rant? So, Sammy, the best way to get your kids' school involved is just to either send us a message there on our website, just contact us, or at I'll put our email here, but it's zeroplasticsaustralia@gmail.com. Even just inbox us on our socials. We'll send you through to SOL, Southern Ocean Environmental Link. So they're the charity side of things, and so they're the education side. With that, and why we chose to back up that charity, is money that goes in through to schools actually goes into planting oysters. So we plant 200 oysters, they get planted from Queenscliff all the way up through to Melbourne and all the waterways along the Great Ocean Road. Oysters are a natural kind of filtration system for the ocean. They breathe in a lot of bad water and breathe out good water, and bring more kind of life through it as well. So we're really excited to be with them. They also have been the most conscious business that we have talked with and gone with in actually doing good, putting money where it needs to go, not just kind of riding the train and greenwashing and going through. Actually understanding that it's not much money in this. It's not a successful kind of. It's not that instant win. It is a struggle to try and convince people why you should buy recycled plastic, and also why we have to charge a little bit more for it. Each is handmade here in this shed using this. As the lids, and as you guys are keeping and sorting your lids, you understand how much time goes into cleaning, washing, sorting, even just the colors and polymers, just the time put in to make sure that goes through. All of it adds up, which is an interesting thing. But we really, really highly recommend, if you want to get your school involved, it is unreal. Seeing the kids go through using the machine, they get to keep their own items. It's about $20 worth of items that they get to keep. They can make absolutely anything from like a cat key ring to the pens, anything in this little system. It is one of those cool little moments all the way through. They do incursions and excursions as well, so it just depends on what works best for the school. Yeah, that is very true. I wish that there was more recycling points everywhere. So this is it. I really believe that places like your community centre here can have a granulator. So you can grab your lids, sort it, go through, and making sure that it's staying to the same polymer, you can then shred and keep it into this. Not only does that directly drop your storage costs and how fast it stores and the volume needed to store these lids, it is then in its useful product. You can then turn that into either the injection machine behind me and or the sheet machine, which is another just a simple squish of machine, and start making your own craft sheets or your own item and whatever your community needs that's nearby. Maybe you have a certain problem of that community or that area. For instance, we have Kerrang, just up north here from Ballarat, and they have a lot of farmers. The farmers use these a certain clip for their fences to hold the fences together. So we're setting them up with an injection machine, their own plastic and a granulator, so they can make the clips there. So instead of driving your lids all the way down and the transport needed and the back and forth and all that, we have these little recycling points everywhere. We have these little points where it is so it's driven in that area to help. So these resources, this endless resource, and I mean endless, on average 130 kilos each person every year throws out of resource alone, can be redirected and turned into something good to help grow the community, to bring an economy growth, to bring a full circular growth, to show the world all of it. Yeah, I am the same as you, Mira. I do believe that they need to be everywhere. It is so easy for everyone not only to start and to do, but it's very easy to and fun and challenging to be on this end, to be the manufacturer, to try and make Australia good again in the manufacturers. We were really good when we were making cars back in the day. And as funny as it is, I see Zero and I see all these mini recycling kind of plants being like the old Ford factories, where lids would come in, so the start of the car would come in, and by the end of it, they would drive a car out. They have all these parts, the car drives out. Well, we have all these lids come in, and then they go through their parts, and by the end of it, a product leaves. And then if that product's done, be it 10 years from now, be it whenever it is, it comes back around to the front of the factory, and we just do it again. It is really exciting to see what can be done, to see where we are and what we've created. The problem of it is that sometimes I'll make something and I love it so much that I want to keep it myself. Well, can't sell that one. So where will we get a shredder from? So there's a few different places. I don't know if you'll be able to see. So over, see the white little see-through thing in the corner? It's very hard away. Yep, that is a shredder there. And we've got a few videos on our socials there of how it works, but you can get them through a few places. One of them is Precious Plastic Melbourne. They're really cool for it. However, it just depends on the volume of lids that you're shredding. Yes, the Precious Plastic model of what the shredder is works quite well, but it only does about 1 kilo an hour. If I need my plastic shredded, we use our partners at Ballarat Regional Industries, who, by just happenstance, they are a recycling factory here, and they hire people with disabilities to try and get them back in the workforce and give them a real chance. And what they did is they have an industrial shredder with a double carbon filter system. Sorry, that's a mouthful. And what happens is anything shredded, all the microplastics get sucked back up and then shredded again. So nothing's wasted, nothing's put in the environment. It's one of the best, and they weren't using it. And I'm like, if I bring you plastic, could you shred it? So like, if you bring us plastic, we can hire people with disabilities. So the more plastic you bring, the more jobs that we can do here. And yes, that's a win-win. So I use them. We do have that little one there for any of our fails. If I go to do a print and it doesn't quite work, and like the carabiner doesn't finish, or one of the molds isn't complete, or plastic wasn't enough, and there is still a lot of trial and error being where we are, we just shred it back up and just go again. So you can buy them yourselves, but there is also the best one. I'll probably have to discuss it further and give you a few links if you'd like. But there is one from Japan. Unfortunately, there's none made in Australia, but there's one from Japan for about $5,000 or $6,000. That is perfect. That is exactly what most people should be using, and what hopefully we're going to try and create here in Australia. So all the parts are made and bought and kept in Australia. But at the moment, the best one there is this granulator from Japan that will granulate up to about 50 kilos an hour into a usable and a proper form. Yeah, yeah. So with that, would it be possible to get a grant application? Where would we get a shredder from? Would it be possible to grant application? Yeah. There's the grants are hard. We've applied a few times, and because we're the tip of the spear, we piggyback off an organisation called Precious Plastic. I don't know if you guys have heard about them, but I highly recommend that you check them out. They're really amazing. But we piggybacked off them and what they were doing for this because they released all the machines for how to do it and how to go. I've given feedback. When I had my heart attack, I was making a small sheet and I gave it back to the community and said, hey, this is how I did it. If I died, then all that information would have went and no one would have had it. So by giving that back, we helped them grow, and they have made a now larger sheet machine, and it's been really cool to go from. But they even said the biggest struggle is trying to get grants. Your machines are tip of the spears. They've never been done before. You've got to prove yourself too much. And the best way for getting grants is actually for art and the beauty that can come from it to show what it is. There are now a lot of new grants coming out that are helping us recyclers and helping us go, but it's still a very uphill battle. The real way is just there, and we kind of go, it's just for the real like-minded people who want to make a change and are the ones that are willing to purchase and go through and make that change on the item, to pay a little bit extra to help the change. All the money goes back into the business, which has been helping us grow and get to a point where we can just recycle as much as we can. And one day I hope to be out of plastic. It's a really cool moment when I'll be going through one of my tubs. Again, like the video I think I uploaded yesterday or the day before, and I looked at my blue tub and there's 39 kilos gone. I'm like, what? That was there last week. So it's a nice feeling when I can do it. So if I can constantly keep running out of plastic, that's one of the dreams as well. Now, I think that probably covers most of it, but also I could just keep talking for hours. So whatever questions you guys want or want to hear about, let me know. Perfect. How many cats needed to make Elsa from Frozen? So let's say that we had Elsa this big. All right? I don't actually have Elsa, but let's say that we had Elsa and she was this big. A little silhouette, a drawing of the outline of her in there. If we had that, that would be about 6 to 9 bottle caps to make her. And he would then be able to draw and can continue on. But it just depends on how thick you want to make it. If you were making a 3D little toy, then that can be upwards of up to 15 to 20. So these are little things that can be done. The other one there is building blocks. Yes. So I'm super excited about this. So this machine here, you can see this one over here, this big one. That is an extruder. That we fill the plastic with, and it will make beams and much larger items. With that is a large interconnecting kind of giant Lego brick. They use these for heaps of different reasons. One of them is for the building block of materials and to try and redo houses and homes. But the other one is they will put them down and then they will actually cover it in concrete or cover it in something and be making skate parks for disadvantaged kids over in South Africa. It's the main thing that's been used for. The other one is schools will use them. They'll make makeshift veggie patches and they'll put these giant blocks together, fill it with soil, and they'll grow their veggies for the 2 terms. And then when winter hits or the weather changes, they'll take them away and then go back inside and use these bricks to make mazes or tables or other things. So they just use them for different processes depending on the season. So that's one thing I really, really, really am looking forward to. But the mold itself is about $1,300. So it's a while away from there. And it's just trying to get the awareness for it. But keep an eye on our socials. I have a building block one day and I'm really excited for that. Perfect. I think that's all. Thank thank you so much for listening to me ramble and to go on about my stuff. And it's been a really upwards and amazing challenge. I'm very, very lucky and fortunate for everything that's happened for me. The people I've met, the people that'll just like buy an item and then like pay for the morning coffee or pay for a new mold that'll grow the business, and to still go from this sheet that I look at least once a week, probably more, to motivate me to realize that we now have like big tabletops and stuff made from multiple sheets, and like to just be growing these items of impossible things that can't be done. Hey, you're crazy if you can do this. I'm like, well, no, I'm crazy, but I definitely can do it. So it was just in that mindset and understanding that we are supported, and there is a lot more of us that are making the change. Society are willing and wanting to do what they can. So that's it. Like, keep doing what you do, keep collecting your lids, keep at it. If you can think of any ideas yourself that need to be out there, that need to be invented, that can be used, we can be the platform for that. And there you go. If you want to help support us as well, you can purchase any of the items as mentioned. Just use Zoom in our shop there, and you'll get 10% off. And then the other cool thing is you will see now, hopefully, that when you are sorting your lids, or when you're in a shop and you see something made from plastic, you'll question it. You're like, why isn't that made from recycled plastic? Because all you needed to do is just squish it up and put it into a different shape mold. So hopefully I was informative and motivated a little bit there. I'm a bit nervous as always with these chats. So again, thank you so much for listening to me. And I hope I can answer any questions, and happy to talk when needed.